This week's full moon is cosmic chaos, so let's get into it. Good morning, loves. My name is Comet, and welcome to Just in a Magic Monday, where we break down not only just the astrology of the week ahead, but how you, my love, are going to co-create with it, how you are going to harness some of these cosmic blessings, and how you are going to mitigate some of these celestial challenges. And the cosmos are busy this week. And when the planets are busy, we tend to be busy down here on planet Earth. And the reason this week's astrology feels so busy is largely due to the Gemini full moon, which lands smack dab in the middle of the week. And this full moon is a cosmic headache embodied. Now, I'm not saying if you have Gemini placements that you are a headache. I'm just saying this particular full moon, this particular energy that we're working with can be very frazzled, frantic, all over the place, distracted. Like, I just want you to think of the sort of headache. My Mercurials, I know you know what I'm talking about. My Virgo placements, my Gemini placements, you know when you've been overthinking and your head literally hurts because you're so distracted and so frantic or so stressed or however, you just feel drained, you just feel annoyed. Yeah, that's the vibe of this full moon, because this full moon conjoins Mars, and keep in mind, this is really activating our Mars retrograde story, okay? And with the full moon, it's basically casting a spotlight. Like, if you did not know what Mars retrograde was trying to show you, you will know this week, okay? Because this full moon is essentially bringing in all of that Mars retrograde energy. So all of those frustrations, all of that aggravation, all of that suppressed anger, this full moon is casting a spotlight. So other people can be more testy, we can be more testy, we could be a little bit more reactive. And with this lunation squaring Neptune, we may not have an accurate read on the situation, or we may be a little too reactive for our own good. But this full moon in particular is like an Olympian in busyness. And I want you to expand your definition of busyness, because we typically hear that and we think, okay, work might be busy this week, but you're gonna feel this busy, sort of stress, frazzled energy in a lot of different arenas in your life. You could feel it when you log on social media, all of these messages, when you read the news, very hectic, lots of information. You could feel it on the highway, people having road rage. You could feel it within your own mind, just feeling all over the place, having all of the thoughts. There's just a lot of activity, and there's not a lot of discernment this week around what is important and what is not, what piece of information is important and what is not. Now, we do have a shift this week. We have Mercury and Venus ingressing into Capricorn, which is a little bit more grounded and practical versus, you know, the free-spirited energy of Sagittarius, right? So there is a little bit more grounding in the cosmos taking place. And this is important because we're finally getting some Earth in the cosmos. Because besides like when we have an Earth-Moon transit and our outer planets, so Uranus and Pluto, who are hardly grounding at all, we haven't had any Earth in the cosmos, and Earth is our ability to feel grounded, to feel rooted. So we are getting this shift into grounded energy around, okay, all this information is coming in, all of these people are telling me things, there's so much busyness out in the world, everybody feels so hectic, and with this shift, it's almost like, okay, I gotta ground down, I gotta build one step at a time, right? I'm getting ahead of myself, I'm all over the place. This isn't a sustainable way for me to proceed. So there is a shift there, which we appreciate. Before we get ahead of ourselves, like, okay, Haley, things are gonna feel more grounded and practical, we love it. Not so fast, because here's the thing about Sagittarius placements. If there is one thing a Sagittarius placement is going to do, it's going to throw a party. Has anybody else been feeling that? Have you been to any birthday parties in the last couple of weeks? I swear Sagittarius placements throw the best parties. They know how to have fun. They are life of the party. I've been having so much fun celebrating you guys. Shout out to all of my Sagittarius placements. And it kind of cracks me up because even the planets are having a little party of their own. Let me explain. Before Mercury and Venus enter Capricorn or ingress into Capricorn this week, they score off with Jupiter and Pisces. So they are having little parties of their own before they depart for grounded terrain, right? So they're doing it big. They're like, okay, if we're leaving Sagittarius, we are throwing a party, we're making a mess, we're going to excess. So So while we do have this shift into more grounded practicality, there is going to be a tilt towards excess in all of the things and a challenging time finding discernment prior to that. So fear not, I will be breaking all this down with the vibe check as well as day by day. And before I dive into vibe check of the week, I just want to say if all went well, this video should have been posted on Sunday. And I'm gonna try it. I'm not committing, you know, Mars is retrograde in my 10th house, so I'm open to feedback. I'm open to integrating different strategies to see how it feels. I wanna give a warm thank you to Brittany, who had made the suggestion of potentially moving Magic Monday to Sunday. I had never even thought about how easier that would make it for individuals who do go to work early on Monday to be able to be prepared with this information prior. If you do start your Monday mornings with me, the content will still be there. It's just a day early. I'm like so attached to Magic Monday. I don't think we need to change the name because the forecast will still start on Monday, but I want to thank everybody who chimed in their opinion, who voted in the poll. I want to thank Brittany for the idea. Let's try it out. You know, I'm open to making this the best, most magical Magic Monday that it can possibly be, even if it's posted on Sunday. Another day of magic. We love it. So cheers, my loves. Let's break down this week. This week, I'm drinking a maple espresso black tea. It smells delightful. Like what a weird combo, honestly. My friend who moved gave me all of this random stuff. I swear, I feel like I'm shopping every single day in my house because I just find things. I'm like, where did this come from? I don't know, let's try it. And this is one of those creations, and you know what? It's honestly delightful. So cheers, let's make it a magical week. So let's take it into vibe check of the week. Now, if you are new here, firstly, hi, my name's Haley Comet. Thank you so much for being here. This is vibe check of the week, which is when we liken all of the astrological influences of the week and liken it into a real life situation. So that even if the terminology of Sun opposite Mars, Mercury square Jupiter, Venus entering Capricorn doesn't necessarily elicit a strong emotion, hopefully you can relate in some way to the real life situation that I will detail, which the astrology reminds me of. So this week's vibe check is the vibe of very timely, very seasonal holiday shopping. Okay, who's a good shopper? Who out there feels that they are a good shopper? Who can go into a store, get it what it is that they need, and leave in a calm and grounded manner? Reveal yourselves, because I am so jealous of you. I'm so jealous of you. I'm not that way at all. I am a frazzled shopper. I go down all of these rabbit holes, and that's the sort of shopping trip that I want you to think of, okay? I want you to think of the sort of shopping trip when you're walking, you're like, okay, I gotta get a gift for my sister, and you walk into this department store and you're like, oh, but here's scarves. Maybe my brother would want a scarf. And then you're looking through scarves, and then there's a little sign that says, if you spend over $150, you can get 15% off. So then you're like, okay, suddenly I'm spending $150. So you're looking through the scarves. They don't have the color that you want. So you're like, okay, scarf is off, scarf is off. But now we have to spend $150 to get the percentage off. And then you get distracted and you're like, do I need a new perfume? Should I actually ask for a perfume for the holidays? And then you go over to the concealers and you're like, does this concealer look good? Let me actually look at the reviews of the concealer. Huh, okay, not great reviews. Oh my gosh, look over there. Do I need a new purse? Oh, this one is so cute. Oh, it's kind of expensive. It's $107, but then I would be over the $150 threshold, and I would get that percentage off. So I'm basically making money, right? And so on and so forth until you have spent $400 and you're driving home from the department store and you realize, oh, I didn't get my sister's present. I got all of this junk and I didn't even save that much money. Has anybody ever had a shopping trip like that? Again, I understand that there are calm, logical shoppers out there. I am not. It's like the moment I get there, I just get so frantic and I'm like, I gotta make the most of it. I get really, really frenzied around, I gotta get all the deals. I gotta look up all the reviews to make sure it's a good buy. And then I'm just frantic and frazzled. Like, I think I've shared this before on a Magic Monday, but my boyfriend refuses. He has drawn a line in the sand that he will not go shopping with me at CVS. Like the drugstore, like he will not go because I get so frantic when it comes to like extra bucks and coupons and deals, and we end up having to be there for like 2 hours, and he has simply said 4 years in our relationship that CVS trips will simply not be something that we do together. So anyways, that's the sort of shopper that I am, and that's the sort of energy that this week entails. And the reason this week's astrology feels like one of those frantic shopping trips is because of this. Not all information is helpful or useful information. I want you to think of shopping and all of the signs and all of the information that you are seeing, as well as if you are like me and when you're out and about, you're looking up all these reviews and looking up all this information. Could I get it cheaper online? What do these people have to say about this scarf? Oh, this person in the reviews got an allergic reaction from this scarf. Oh my goodness. Like, there's almost this mental overwhelm coupled with this feeling of frenziness around. There's all of these shoppers, there's long lines, you want to get home, you don't want to have to come back to the store, the holidays are creeping up, you're all over the place, you're frantic, you're scattered, you're trying to get stuff in order to qualify for this particular deal, which honestly isn't that great of a deal, and you see a sign that says, oh, you can open this credit card and save this much, and then you're calculating it. Yeah, that mental overwhelm, that mental fatigue, that mentally frazzled feeling is sort of the vibe this week. With that Gemini full moon that I spoke of for obvious reasons, that's a focal part of it, as well as with Mercury and Venus squaring off with Jupiter. Like, this is the vibe that I was talking about around, let me just buy all the things. So like I said, Sagittarius placements are gonna throw themselves a little party, and squaring off with Jupiter, it's like, I could use 6 scarves, I could use a concealer, and I'm getting the deal. Like, it's a little too optimistic. Like, are you really saving that much money? Do you really need this store credit card at this department store that you go to? Are you missing important details of why you came to the store? That's sort of the vibe with the squares to Jupiter. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad week. I'm not saying you should stay in bed. Sometimes it could be fun to be a little frazzled, okay? Sometimes it could be fun to be shopping and contemplating all of these different gifts and being like, is my brother even a scarf person? And am I a perfume person? Like, it can be fun. Sometimes we could be frazzled but fun, essentially, can be the vibe of this week's astrology. So without further ado, let's take it into our day-by-day breakdown. Just want to give a quick heads up that all timestamps are available below if you want to jump to a particular day, or at the end of the week, come back to a particular day. If I mention a time, it is PST, which is GMT -8. Okay, so wherever you are located within the world, you'll want to adjust it to your time zone. So without further ado, let's dive into Monday, December 5th. So good morning. Welcome to the astrology of Monday, December 5th. So the moon is exalted all day long in the sign Taurus, which is sensual, which is bougie, which is luxurious. Hence why in our hypothetical shopping trip, we were kind of moseying over by the perfume and looking at the concealer and touching all of the scarves. Like, it tends to be a time that we are essentially more alive, more invigorated. We want to ease and relax into what is comfortable and what is pleasurable. I will highlight, even though the moon is in its favorite sign to be in, the moon is exalted in Taurus, it is under some stress. Like I said, when we're shopping, we're wanting to touch all the things, but there's like this mounting feeling around, gotta get home and there's gonna be traffic, and what about this person in your family? So when it comes to how you can navigate with the astrology of Monday, December 5th, I want you to first be open, okay? Be open to deviations in the plan, because the moon kicks off around 9 a.m. with a conjunction to Uranus, which are things that are unexpected, technical difficulties, Wi-Fi's down, fender bender on the way to work, storm, and you forgot an umbrella. Just things that are unexpected. And Taurus, you know, likes to sink into what is familiar, what is routine. And with the conjunction to Uranus, there's just this unsteady, unpredictable vibe. And the Taurus moon also clashes with Saturn. So it can be frustrating. You had a particular plan of how you wanted the day to go, and that wasn't necessarily allotted. And I will say that it could be very hard to focus on Monday because Mercury does square Jupiter. Keep in mind, Jupiter expands what it touches. So it's not the worst thing when we have squares to Jupiter. Like I said, it could be frazzled but fun. We could be a little too optimistic, but that's not so bad. We all need some hope in this world. But what I will say is, with Mercury being our words and our language, we could be, you know, thinking a lot. We could be, Jupiter's in Pisces, so like daydreaming. We can be over-promising, like being like, oh, no problem, I can get that to you end of day. Or over-scheduling, being like, oh, I can edit 3 videos, no problem. And it's like 3 hours later, you're like, girl, what what were you thinking? No, you cannot. Like with Mercury square Jupiter, our thought process can be a little bit too optimistic, whether it comes to the timeline that we are capable of, that other people are capable of. I want you to take what you hear with a grain of salt, because people could be talking a lot and not saying much. So like the vibe that I think of when I think of Mercury square Jupiter is that salesperson who will tell you anything that you want to hear. So back to our 5-check shopping trip. I want you to think of you moseying over to the perfume, and the perfume associate is having you try on different perfumes, and one of them, coincidentally, the most expensive one, she's like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, when you wore that perfume, I'm telling you, something about your demeanor changed. Like you just looked so much more stunning, so much more mature. And you're like, did I? But then you're like, did I? Like that's what I'm saying is important on Monday. Like ground down. Like people can be telling you what you want to hear. Ground down and be like, okay, what's this person's intention? Are they trying to get commission from me? You know, what's the deal? It's important to ground down before you get carried away. Because like I said, this can be very optimistic. It'd be like, I am going to enter 2023 stunning with my new perfume. And, you know, if you buy the perfume, like I said, this is going to be a spendy week. Let's just call it how it is. Venus squares Jupiter later this week. So it's not that it's bad to spend money this week. Just make sure that you ground down around, do I like this scent? Or did I just like what that associate told me about the way I wear this scent? And is it possible that someone's demeanor changes when they try on a perfume? Like ground down, use discernment, be discerning when it comes to even like your own scheduling, okay? Like I do feel like it'll be hard to focus. The moon also sextiles Neptune later that night. Like I do feel like it'll be hard to stay on track or to stay focused. And I don't want you to get into a situation where that night you're having to scramble to get this project out and you're like, why didn't I just tell them I would have it to them end of week? Why did I say I could get it done today? Like give yourself a cushion. Give yourself a cushion of time for things to get done. Try not to rush yourself. Like a lot of times when we have this very frantic, frenzied vibe, it puts us in a more frantic, frenzied energy. Even if our world isn't necessarily busy, we almost feel that franticness from everybody else. And we're like, okay, everybody at this department store is running, so I'm running too. As I highlighted, not a good shopper. Particularly not a good shopper when they played that Christmas song, like dun 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 dun. I'm telling you, every time I am anywhere and that song plays, it makes me want to like run around the store. I don't know why that song triggers me when I'm Christmas shopping, but I like feel so frantic. I'm like, everybody's running. Do I need this? Do I need this? It's like sometimes we can observe the energy around us without getting involved. So that's what I'm encouraging you to do on Monday. Even if you observe people busy, running around, grabbing scarves off the thing, and you're like, do I need all these scarves? Like ground down one step at a time. Be like, I actually don't need scarves. I actually am not in the market for a perfume. I actually don't need to rush through my shopping. I could just take it one step at a time. I could just breathe, be into my body. That's important to lean on Monday. I also want to highlight that in addition to the moon conjoining Uranus in the morning, the moon will square Saturn at 5:54, which again is blah, overwhelmed, drained, wanting comfort, not necessarily finding it. So on Tuesday, the 6th, the moon enters Gemini at 12:49 p.m. Prior to that, the Taurus moon will trine Pluto and sextile Jupiter. So a great time to just calmly and groundedly, just one step at a time. Again, we're building closer and closer to the full moon. And as that moon in the sky gets bigger and bigger, I'm telling you, and it's not just astrologers who say this, like EMTs say this, bartenders say this, that things get a little wacky. People get a little busy, things get a little intense. And my challenge for you this week, if possible, particularly when the moon's in Taurus, as we build to the Gemini full moon, is to observe that, like observe, you know, people being a little bit more emotional and erratic and rushed, and choose instead to maintain your pace, okay? Like if you've ever seen that thought experiment, I couldn't even name where it's from, but there was like a thought experiment where it's like everybody in the elevator was faced the opposite way and they were in on the experiment, and people who were not in on the experiment, when they walked into the elevator, they were like, oh, I guess we're turning this way. So they would turn as well, because it feels awkward to do a different thing, right? We naturally look to other humans in order to be like, okay, what's the societally acceptable thing to do? And when we have kind of busy collective energy, there's almost a tendency for us to get on that pace, okay? And so I want you to observe that where within you you're creating this frantic vibe, or creating this frazzled vibe, or creating this stress vibe, and where it is that you can choose to go slow, where it is that, you know, with the Gemini full moon, perhaps you can even laugh at it. Like maybe you can laugh about how you had all of the scarves on the floor of this department store because you were looking for one that had a particular plaid design that you liked the most. Like maybe you can find the humor in it. And to find the humor in it, we need to kind of take ourselves out of the rat race of being like, oh, we're just going fast. We're running around the store and we're fighting with people with scarves. And it's just crazy. So see if you can choose slow, choose grounded, choose steady, particularly in the morning. I do want to highlight, it is debated whether or not the moon can truly be void in a sign that it performs well in, so in Taurus. So up to you, but I will highlight that the void moon is 11:02 a.m. to 12:49 p.m. And then with the moon entering Gemini, this is the sign of the full moon. So like I said, busy mentally, busy socially, busy driving, busy walking. There's a lot of activity outside and in here. Okay, but I will highlight, we kind of have a saving grace in that shortly after the moon ingresses into Gemini, Mercury enters Capricorn. And this was the energy I was chatting about, where it is a bit more grounded. It is a bit more step by step. Keep in mind, Mercury does station retrograde this month. Fear not, I'll be walking you through it. Now, Mercury enters its pre-retrograde shadow December 12th. So that is a week from Monday. So if there is something important that you need to sign, some important decision that you need to make, this would be a great week. I mean, Mars is retrograde, so tread carefully, but I will say, if I need this signed by the end of this year, I would consider doing it this week, okay? And with Mercury entering Capricorn, of course, we'll talk deeper about this when Mercury does station retrograde, but with Mercury in Capricorn, it really surveys our world around what is built to last and what is not. It makes our thought process a lot more logical, pragmatic and practical, which is all well and good, but now Mercury is answering to Saturn. And it's almost like we had these Sagittarius glasses on and now we have these Capricorn glasses on, and that's quite a switch, right? The planet of thoughts was answering to Jupiter, now it's answering to Saturn. So it's like viewing the world through opportunity was Jupiter, and now we're seeing it through how things can be made better. It's essentially a very sobering, crashing down, back down to earth sort of energy. And it could be, you know, critical to look at everything in terms of what's working and what's not working. Helpful, surely. And this will be a key part of the upcoming Mercury retrograde, but also a little dejecting, right? It's making us more critical about our lives, about ourselves, about what's working, about what's not, about our mistakes, all of the things, which can be helpful, but I do want to highlight it can be a little bit of a bummer sometimes. But the reason that's a saving grace is because now the moon is answering to that Mercury Capricorn. So we do have some anchored energy this week if it's available. Like there is that frantic at the department store vibe, but if we can take a second to breathe, get down into our body, keep in mind we have the shift towards earth energy, so more and more is getting a little bit more grounded, a little bit more earthly, right? If we can just take a deep breath and be like, okay, I don't need scarves, I don't need perfume, I came here for my sister's present. Like Mercury in Capricorn has a plan, it has an ambition, it has what it's here to do. It's very pragmatic around, I don't need that credit card, I don't need to spend $150 in order to get that deal. I have a mission and I'm here to do it. So that is the vibe that I want you to channel with Mercury entering Capricorn. So Wednesday, December 7th is the Gemini full moon. And I did do a deep dive video that breaks down this lunation collectively as well as for your chart for your life. Quick note before you watch it, I made a typo. I made a typo of the mouth. I erroneously stated in that video the time that the moon opposes Mars rather than the time of the full moon, so I'm so sorry about that. The full moon actually occurs at 8:08 p.m., so nearly an hour and a half before I say in that video. So I just want to highlight, I did make a typo. My Virgo moon and rising is deeply upset, but alas, the full moon must go on and the magic must go on. So what I want you to know about this full moon is that it occurs at the exact same degree, 16 degrees as Mars retrograde. So if you are not aware of what your Mars retrograde story has been, what it has been trying to show you, you will know this week. And the Mars retrograde story is really about how it is that we've been using our energy and how we can be using it more intelligently. It's about what our anger and frustration is trying to show us and how we can positively contract our energy, okay? And I want to detail what I mean by that last piece, because we live in a world where we are consistently told that we need to constantly be expanding, that it constantly needs to be about more and better and bigger. And we are part of nature. And with the retrogrades, it's really like this slow down energy. Like I've been highlighting this video, like just because everybody else is going fast in the department store running around doesn't mean you need to adjust to that pace. Just because everybody's turned around in the elevator doesn't mean you need to as well. And with retrogrades, it's like this time that the cosmos are giving us like this chance to breathe. Like not every single month needs to be consistently growth, right? We need periods of pulling back our energy. We need periods of contraction to prepare for the expansion, which I feel is a huge part of this Mars retrograde story. Around a lot of us are feeling this lack of motivation. A lot of my clients have been telling me, they're like, I feel lame. I feel like a loser. I'm just so drained. I feel exhausted. And I'm like, my love, you are simply like kind of recovering. So sorry if the angle changed, but essentially what I was trying to say is that astrology gives us these cycles and these rhythms. And a lot of times we internalize them and feel like there's something wrong with us, which is why I'm so passionate about sharing the astrology every week with you guys, because it can be very validating to how it is that we feel, to understand, oh, I'm just kind of going through a season of replenishing, conserving my energy, putting it towards what truly means something to me. So this full moon is making that very apparent, right? But with it, there's almost like this now or never, or this urgency to it. And I want you to observe where you're feeling this urgent, must purchase, must buy, must do energy, and see if you can stay objective around it or observe it a bit, right? Observe everybody running around and observe that frantic feeling within you around, oh my gosh, everyone's running around, everybody's putting all these scarves in my cart. Do I need to be doing that too? Observe that without getting involved or without getting entrenched. And you know, this is a very social butterfly-like moon. I do want to encourage you to be safe around any sort of substance or anything of that nature, anything that you have to drink, anything of that nature, as this lunation does square off with Neptune, which can lead to excess. And the Gemini full moon, let's be real, it is social, it is chatty, it is a time to connect and to brainstorm. But like I said, there's not a lot of discernment on all of the messages that are coming in at this time with the square to Neptune. So it's like whether you're at a store and you're seeing all these signs and you're getting all of these emails and you're seeing all this stuff on social media, it just feels like our attention span is so fraught with so much different information that's coming in. And with the square to Neptune, we're having a hard time discerning what's helpful and what's not. What sale is going to save me money and what's not. There's almost like this analysis paralysis. And if a message comes out, if you hear something, if you read something, again, seeking if you can utilize that objective stance, right? Because with the square to Neptune, we may be missing details, right? We could be a little bit more sensitive. And at the worst case scenario, our attention can feel knocked around like a ping pong ball. And observing anywhere that you feel this sensation of urgency, whether you feel it at work or on the highway, observing it without you personally getting involved, right? Because I'm telling you, with this lunation, there's going to be this feeling around now or never. And with the square to Neptune, it's a vibe where it's like everybody at the workplace is freaking out about this thing and they want you to freak out about it too. Then it turns out that it was a misunderstanding, right? And everybody's workday is fried because of it, because it was like, oh, this is happening, and then it's not actually happening. Like, it's not to say that you should go all day on Wednesday being like, nothing is real, but more so taking what it is that you hear and read with a grain of salt, because with the square to Neptune, there can be misinformation, there can be confusion, and honestly, we're just having a hard time discerning about what's important and relevant to our world and what's not. Like, keep in mind, with Mars retrograde, we're being asked to conserve our energy, okay? And also our mental energy around understanding not everything deserves a reaction, not everything deserves a response, not everything deserves a comment. We have to be stingy with not only just our physical energy, but our mental energy as well. And that's what this lunation is bringing to the surface. Some quick ways that you can celebrate. I mean, this is a lunation answering to Mercury, and Mercury is all about words and language. So it can be very positive around journaling, observing what's coming to the surface. Like I'm telling you, brain dump. This full moon, like I said, it's a very overthinking kind of full moon, and it can be very helpful for you to just be able to just mentally vomit into a journal in terms of just getting it all out of your brain, right? So it's not circling and overwhelming you, would be something supportive, as well as balancing the axis. You know, we have Gemini, which is about socializing and connecting and learning, and Sagittarius, which is about going on our own adventure. So for some of you, it might feel super aligned to spend time around people. Again, Gemini is a social butterfly, so I'm not saying that's wrong, but I want you to balance that with coming back to your own North Star, your own sense of meaning, your own sense of purpose, to be able to anchor into discernment around what's relevant and true for your journey and what is not, right? There's just a hard time deciphering if this piece of gossip is truly helpful, if this sale is truly helpful, if this email blast is truly helpful. It's an information overload and a hard time being able to decipher what's important and relevant and what's not. So again, balancing the social time with alone time to be able to tap into that discernment. So on Thursday, the 8th, the Gemini full moon may be over, but the chaos is not. Firstly, you can have a full moon hangover, even if you didn't drink, which like I said, with this lunation squaring Neptune would not be my advice, okay? But even if you didn't, there could be this vibe the next day of feeling very drained, or how I feel like it's gonna go down since the lunation does conjoin Mars is feeling very restless, feeling very reactive. A lot of you could have had hard time sleeping, or with the square to Neptune, not being able to wake up. Full moons affect people very differently. Some people get wired, some people get exhausted, but regardless, there's sort of this need for a little bit of a slower start to the day as the Gemini moon does square Neptune. It trines Saturn, which is helpful, and you might need to kind of reel in the Gemini moon, right? Because the Gemini moon is still kind of scattered and all over the place, and with the trine to Saturn, it's almost this energy around, okay, focus. Like you can get distracted by the scarves, you can get distracted by the perfume, but remember what you're there for, focus. Like you might need to lean on that on Thursday around reeling in your attention span to be like, okay, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. That's why I love to write things down when there's a lot of mutable energy within the cosmos, so that I can like look at my time block or look at my to-do list and be like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. You might need a couple of revisits to your to-do list, okay? But I will say that evening would be really great to do something fun. There's a mutable T-square building between the Gemini moon, Venus in Sagittarius, and Jupiter in Pisces. And this is the energy of chaotic fun, because we think of chaos and we think it doesn't tend to be that fun. But have you hung out with a mutable placement? Like mutables give chaotic fun, right? And what I mean by mutable, my Gemini loves, Virgo loves, Sagittarius loves, Pisces loves. Those are the mutable signs. And this is kind of a mutable showdown within the cosmos. And there can be an energy surely about excess, but honestly, there's nothing wrong with excess in small doses. Like Venus in Sagittarius is on her way out. Let her have some fun, right? And there's a fun vibe. There's a vibe where it's like, well, we're having so much fun. Why not order another drink? We're having so much fun. Why not stay up late and watch another movie? There's a vibe where it's like, we're having fun, we're enjoying life. There's something wrong with that. I would just highlight, remember to be present. Like so often when it comes to the holiday season, we get so caught up in the hustle and bustle, and we gotta bake cookies for this person, we gotta go shopping for this person. We forget to just enjoy these moments. So while there can be sort of a chaotic, all over the place, distracted, excess, let's do one more kind of vibe on Thursday night, there's nothing wrong with that. Remember that you're having some fun, because that's also what I was saying with like the Gemini full moon is, you know, whenever we talk about Gemini placements, like Gemini, Mercury is the trickster, right? And if you've met a Gemini, you know, they're laughing through life. They're some of the funniest people. And while there's this frantic vibe during this full moon, I want you to strive to find that objectivity as I was highlighting, to be like, okay, everyone's going really fast, but also that moment of humor to be like, oh my gosh, I'm on my hands and my knees at this JCPenney looking for a plaid scarf. Like this is a little funny, right? And so I do want to highlight, find the humor, find the fun, even in this frantic pace. See if you can find those moments. So on Friday, that is when Venus squared Jupiter exacts. And again, we are feeling this hardcore Thursday night, and it exacts at 4:55 a.m. on Friday morning. So you could likely be feeling it Thursday night or Friday morning, depending on where you are located within the world. But as I highlighted with Jupiter, it expands what it touches. And with Venus, it's money, 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 which is what I was highlighting. It's the vibe at dinner where you're like, why not dessert? Why not another drink? Or when you're shopping, you're like, why not a perfume? Why not a concealer? I spent this much money, might as well buy one other thing. We can be a little bit more spendy. Other people are in the mood to spend money. There's this urgent vibe about this week that makes people feel like they have to spend money, and I guess the holidays also kind of can bring that as well. So I do want to highlight nothing wrong with excess, nothing wrong with having fun, nothing wrong with spending money, but I would just highlight you can be feeling a little spendy on Thursday. So if you are on a really strict budget, my love, this would not be the time that I would go to the department store or go online shopping, because with Venus and Sagittarius, it's a little bit, you know, spontaneous, and the square to Jupiter is the vibe of like, there is no limit. So that's one thing I want you to be mindful of. In addition to feeling a little bit more spendy, we can also have this vibe around being a little too optimistic as it relates to love, romance, things of the nature. Like, I don't know, with Venus square Jupiter, it exacts very early Friday morning, but it's the vibe where you go on a date and you're like, he's the one. But Venus is in Sagittarius, so actually realizing when you get home, wait, no, he's not. That was actually just a fun night, and I maybe just had extra martini and I thought we were gonna get married, but now I realize we're not. Like, you know, we're a little too optimistic with these squares to Jupiter. Nothing wrong with it though, especially since this is Venus's really last hurrah before she ingresses into Capricorn. One other dimension I want to make sure to bring to the surface is that Venus is also pleasure. We can feel tempted to indulge on Friday morning, whether it's taking a long time getting ready, whether it is, you know, buying an extra scone, buying an extra muffin because the first one tasted so good. Jupiter is expanding all of Venusian domains on Venus Day, no less. It is Friday, and so it would be a nice day to, you know, dress up. You might spend a little more extra time with the square to Jupiter, like doing your hair and being like, ooh, I saw this like look of these pigtails, maybe I could try it, and then realizing I was supposed to be at work 20 minutes ago. Like, give yourself pleasure and beauty and enjoyment, but maybe in small doses. Like, there's a vibe on Friday morning, Thursday night where it's just a little too easy to go to excess, to go overboard. And then that evening at 7:54 p.m., Venus ingresses into Capricorn. Now, this is the vibe when you wake up the next day after that frantic shopping trip and you look through their bag and you're like, these are not even in my size. This concealer is not even my color. This perfume that this associate said made me look mature and lovely and stunning actually smells like feet to me. It literally smells like feet. What was I thinking? And then looking at the receipt and be like, how did I spend all this money when I went to go get my sister a gift that I didn't even go? It is a very sobering vibe, which is why I'm saying give yourself excess, right? We want Venus and Sagittarius to have a little fun before she enters Capricorn, but you know, make sure that the sobering check-in when Venus enters Capricorn isn't too much, right? And with Venus in Capricorn, there's really a shift. Like, Venus in Sagittarius is about, I want to experience life. I want to be open. I want to adventure when it comes to my love life, when it comes to money. And with Venus in Capricorn, we're looking at these arenas that we were just looking at very optimistically, very critically, right? So with Venus in Capricorn, we're looking at our love life a little more critically around, am I able to build with you? Is there a future? Is there longevity? Looking at our finances around, am I gonna have enough to make it to the holiday season if I keep going to JCPenney and buying 12 plaid scarves when I don't even like plaid scarves? We are being a little bit more logical, pragmatic, and really viewing Venus-like affairs through the lens around longevity, through the lens of, is this built to last? So also when it comes to aesthetics, we could be drawn to more classic styles, more neutrals, more time-honored essentials with the energy in Capricorn, whereas Venus in Sagittarius was a little bit more bold, right? And important to note, so the moon entered Cancer late Thursday night, and the moon is in rulership here, and it makes our emotions a lot stronger. We are more responsive to the world around us. We are more sensitive. And there really is this clash around how it is that we feel versus the harsh truth of the matter with Mercury and Capricorn, right? And so we can feel a little bit more sensitive as we navigate Friday. Like, an associate at work tells us like, hey, there was a typo on slide 3, and you're like, I'm the worst. Like, we're internalizing what it is that we're hearing, and just understanding with Mercury and Capricorn, it's just kind of pointing out what in our life is working, what in our life isn't. It's pointing out, hey, this typo doesn't look good, or hey, this isn't working. And it just feels like with the Cancer moon, we're a little bit more sensitive to that information and we're internalizing it around, it's something wrong with me, I'm flawed. Whereas Mercury and Capricorn is like, no, it just needs to be fixed. Like Capricorn, this is what I really appreciate about Capricorn placements. They look at things in terms of sequentially how it is that you build something, right? And it's like fundamentally, this foundation or this arena, it's not working. It's not strong. It's not built to last. And fundamentally, this is how it needs to be shifted. And we can internalize that and be like, oh my gosh, I'm the worst. But it's like, it just needs to be solved so we can get to the next step and the next step. Like it's not saying anything about you. It just needs to get done. So just important to keep in mind on Friday. You might be a little more sensitive. Saturday is so lovely as it relates to spending time with loved ones. Like I'm talking the friends who feel like family, the family who feels like family, the album that feels like family, whatever just feels homey and safe and lovely. It would be a great time to go holiday shopping, honestly. Like now Venus is in Capricorn, so we're viewing things a little more practically around, this is my budget, these are my initiatives, these are my goals. And with Cancer, Cancer has to do with traditions. And so it would be nice time to do like all of the corny holiday stuff. Let me know, what's your favorite like holiday tradition? Like what do you love doing? Is it cocoa? Is it looking at lights? Is it decorating your home? I would love to know, and Saturday is a lovely day to do it because with the Cancer moon, we are more likely to want to nurture ourselves via these sentimental traditions, right? We're more likely to want to spend time with our loved ones or those that we hold dear to us, and we are more just in tune with our own emotions, right? And we hear that, we think, you know, bad emotions, meltdowns, but also good emotions, emotions of closeness and security and care and compassion, all of these lovely energies. And it might be a really aligned time if you don't have a holiday tradition to start one. Like with the sextile to Uranus and Taurus, you can always start a tradition. Like I'm the one in my friend group and with my family, I'm like, this is our new tradition. Like even if we just do it one time, I'm like, we hike every Halloween. It's our new tradition. I just love the concept of tradition. I just want to highlight, if you don't have one that kind of like nurtures you, this would be a great time to like turn to your partner and be like, hey, I know we don't super like to celebrate, but maybe let's go for a hike and like go look at the holiday lights just for the heck of it. Or let's bake red and green cinnamon rolls. My love, get creative. Like with Uranus, it's this energy around invigorating our own style into traditions and into a way to be able to nurture ourselves and ground ourselves. And with the trine later that night, the Cancer moon trines Neptune in Pisces, which brings in this holiday magic feeling. Like if you think about the holidays when you were younger, I don't know, there was this magical vibe. Like I do feel like, yes, okay, whatever. Holidays are commercialized and it's totally fine if you don't celebrate them. But there is something special and there is something magical. And when you celebrate holidays, you're celebrating life itself. And I think we all need an excuse to celebrate life itself and to make little things a big deal. Like I'm big on that sort of stuff. Like I celebrate half birthdays. Like I'm not playing around with this stuff. I look for any occasion to celebrate because why not? But I do want to highlight Saturday's a great day to do these cozy, lovely things, whether starting a new tradition or feeling nurtured and grounded by the ones that you hold dear. Make your own magic by anchoring into what feels like an appropriate way for you to celebrate. Sunday the 11th feels like a lazy morning, and who doesn't love a lazy Sunday morning? The Cancer moon does oppose with Pluto, so there could be a Sunday scary vibe or some anxiety, but with the trine to Jupiter in Pisces, we can feel in the mood to luxuriate and to relax and to just bask in that feeling of doing nothing. Doing nothing is a great feeling, so do not feel guilty around it. Keep in mind, Mars is retrograde, okay? And we just had a pretty busy week, so if you are craving some rest and restoration this Sunday, my love, please take it. The moon enters Leo at 12:09. Important note, as I highlighted with the Taurus moon, it is debated whether the moon can truly go void in signs that it is dignified in. The moon is in its domicile in Cancer, so it's extra cozy. So up to you, but I just do want to highlight there is a void moon, 10:49 to 12:09, at which point the moon enters Leo. Then we might feel a little bit more of a burst of energy, right? Like I need to go outside and be in the sun, or I need to do this art project, I need to create. So give yourself that morning to sort of just like bask, to nurture yourself into however feels good. And my love, that is our week. So please let me know how it feels for you having the these start posted on Sunday. Again, no commitment, no decision as of yet. We'll see how it goes. I think it would be fun if when I posted it, if I could be online to watch the premiere and like chat with you guys. I always schedule it like Monday mornings at 2:30 a.m. my time, and my love, I'm simply not gonna get up that early. I'm so sorry, love you all, but I'm just not gonna get up that early to be on the premiere. But if I do it on Sunday afternoon, I will most likely be awake, unless it's a really lazy Sunday, who knows. But I think that would be fun for us to kind of start our week together, set intentions in the premiere. And I want to thank you all for the idea and for the feedback, and let's take it into our Magic Monday mantra of the week. So the Magic Monday mantra of the week is, I remain unbothered and objective. And my love, this one kind of made me laugh because I feel that the word unbothered has never once been uttered by someone who is truly unbothered. Like, I feel like if you say you're unbothered, you're bothered just a little bit. And there's nothing wrong with being bothered. Like, it's a full moon conjoining Mars. Like, there's an urgent feeling, there's a frustrated feeling, there's a reactive feeling, certainly, and we're not making that wrong. But I do want you to strive to remain objective. I want you to strive to kind of take that step back whenever everybody else is rushing, to take a step back and be like, wow, everybody's really bothered. Does that mean I need to be bothered? Or when a piece of information comes up, or when all of this information is given to you, like, keeping that lens around just like calm objectivity before getting emotionally enveloped to every single piece of gossip, every single sale, every single bit of information, because I'm telling you, there's going to be a lot this week, and it's going to be hard to decipher what's important, what's relevant, what's helpful for my journey, and what's not. So I want you to strive to remain objective. Again, it's okay if you feel angry. It's okay if you feel frustrated. Like, I'm not saying you have to be cool as a cucumber all week long, but I do want you to strive to stay unruffled, right? If your boss comes to you in this frantic thing, like, you have to do this right now, and this is so urgent, like, striving to remain objective, step by step, unbothered, just calmly and logically solving the situation, or deciphering what sale is really worth it or what's not, without quickening your pace to react to the world around you, right? Because that's when we make bad decisions. We make bad decisions when we're darting around the JCPenney with everybody else, grabbing scarves even if we don't want them, trying to get the sales, trying to get the best deal. Like, remain level-headed, remain calm, remain objective, laugh if you can. It's a busy week. It's a fun, frazzled week, my loves. So find the fun in it, find the laughter in it, and we're all in this together. So I'll see you guys next week. Let me know how the new Sunday date worked for you guys. My Instagram handle is @HaleyCometAstrology. My TikTok is the same. I would still love to connect with you over there. And until we meet again, drink lots of water and stay magical.